Daphne Hirschman, Ocean Ingram, Jeremiah Jackson, Parisa, Nolan Kapmeyer, Caleb Krishner, Zenith, Chase Leon, Christopher Leon, Jaden Lombardi, Miranda Lopes, Mariah Lumdow, Kiara McCurdy, Ross McGinnis,
We're going to take a 15-minute intermission.
This is a lot of names, friends. Elizabeth McKean, Heidi Meha, Islay Dubon or Alex, Levi Miller, Sean Maturi, Skyla Mylar, Taylor Nardello, Ian Nolan, Emery, Jonah, Osuna, Kylie Overton, Julian Padilla, Isabella, Ainsley Pearson, Malia Pender, Jordan Pinnell, Diego Pedera, Jeanette Pinnan, Finn Popper, Mickey Roscoe, Claire Eva, Roslyn Robar, Aiden Rose, Amelia Rost, Cynthia Ruiz, Cameron Salbeck, Cody Singh,
Did you just say nice
Iska,
Yeah, because your name is on the roll.
Iska. She doesn't have a paper. She doesn't have a paper. Alexia Smith. Iska. Melody Smith. Mia Soto. Logan Thompson. Nicholas Timmons. Jacob Torres. Nicole Padilla. Ike Vargas. Kevin Vasquez. Fiona Wright. Cole Wright.
Can I ask the Oakdale Music Boosters to please come and join the photo? Thank you.
Now, can we have all of the parents come up as well? Hey, thanks for having us, man.
She just texted me.
What?
They're 50. You know how we gave them a certificate recently for their 50th?
I can't hear you.
It's they're doing something for their 50th anniversary that day.
When is that?
Wednesday at 10:30. You're welcome.
I got the other one. They sent me an
Yeah,
email
yeah,
from
they,
the Browse.
good job. Bye, thank you. Bye, everyone, thank you very much, congratulations. All right, bye, guys, have fun.
Whoa, and the room is empty.
All right.
We have our two VIPs in the
See,
room.
now I recognize
VIPs.
them. I thought they were with the band and all that.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bring it back to council. You guys ready? Bring it back, we're gonna bring it back. So, I mean, let's just give another round of applause for our music boosters and our OHS band. And just to let you know, the Oakdale Mustangs will be hosting Friday night's game because they're in the semifinals. So 7 o'clock at the Corral. All right, next up, item 5.2 on the agenda.
Real quick question before we go on.
Yes, sir.
If I had wandered off with all of those people, would you have even noticed?
Yes,
No? Okay.
that's a great question, though. Thank you for that.
Goes down in here.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. At the last City Council meeting, you asked for an update on Oakdale Municipal Code, Chapter 19, Article 8, as it references massage ordinances. So I'll give you a brief overview. Back in October, It seems like it's 2 months. It's actually been a year. When Councilmember Smith brought it up, I was like, there's no way it's been a year. It's been over a year. So thank you for the
Time
reminder.
flies when you're having fun.
That's right. So the new ordinance had a mandate for new massage business personnel to hold the CAMTech certification. The goal of that in our municipal code was to enhance the professionalism and enhance public safety. It was requested by a business owner. I think it might have been a couple of business owners, but I know one specifically. And then after we wrote it and we tweaked it a couple times, it was supported by numerous business owners when the exemptions were added. So transition plan for the existing businesses, as a reminder, it pretty much exempted existing businesses from the CAMTech certification, but it did adjust some of the operating hours that they could. We did this for a smooth transition to avoid disruptions in the existing businesses and no retroactive impact on the long-standing establishments. And we established an employee list. In other words, if there was somebody that worked at one of the massage businesses and they got their name on our list and they wanted to go work at another one, they didn't have to get the CAMTech certification. Background and intent. It was implemented to improve the professionalism and accountability in the massage businesses, to ensure standardized training and certifications and protect public safety and enhance service quality. Impact on the new businesses. So we had 4 new businesses apply for business licenses. And what we found is it actually streamlined the process for getting into the massage business here in Oakdale. Yes, they did have to get their CAMTech certification, but to actually get a business license and get their business up and running, we found it to be very efficient for them. So we saw improved efficiencies, and the benefits were faster verification and approval process. It encouraged compliance among the new applicants. In other words, they had to have their CAMTech, and it supports the growth of legitimate massage businesses. So what we found out, and we didn't realize how efficient it would actually be, is when they come into City Hall and they get their application. Along with the application, we're asking for their CAMTech identification, so they actually get something that's very similar to your California driver's license when they get certified, and they actually provide that with us. On that is a QR code, so I can take the QR code, use my phone, QR it, and it tells me exactly when they're expired. And so I can respond nearly immediately back to City Hall saying they are certified, it's approved from our end, and then they go through just the city process. So the police department process has sped up immensely, because before, when somebody applied, we'd have to do their live scan, we'd have to wait for that return, give it to somebody to do a background investigation, pull their criminal history, that sort of stuff. So benefits to the city and the community. For consumers, now they're dealing with certified professionals to enhance their confidence. For businesses, it creates a fair, competitive environment, and for the city, it promotes a stronger, legitimate industry reputation. Prior to being CAMTech certified, I know that somebody was sending some illegitimate businesses to Oakdale because we didn't have that certification. So conclusion, the ordinance achieves its goal. It ensures compliance for new businesses, safeguards the stability of the existing ones, and reinforces our commitment to professionalism and safety within the community of Oakdale. And with that, I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief from council?
Go ahead.
My one question is, you said that you had 4 new businesses apply. Out of those 4, how many of them didn't have the certification when they came to apply?
All 4 of them have the CAMTech certification.
Okay, great.
Is there stats on, have we actually found human trafficking in Oakdale? Have we found prostitution or sex crimes that have occurred? And if so, has CAMTech helped us to stop and prevent that, or have they brought that to the PD's attention?
So without getting too detailed, we're aware that prostitution and human trafficking does occur, and we're certain that it's occurring here in Oakdale. It's being addressed, and I'm not going to get into the details on that. Now, as far as CAMTech, I think because they have the commitment of the 600 hours, the people that are getting into the business are certified. They want to do it as a way of business, and they're using it as a legitimate business. Whereas I believe if we didn't have the CAMTech certification, that the four new businesses might have got started, but I think that we would probably have more people coming into town trying to victimize our community.
Does Camtech have any advantage to our code enforcement? Because one thing I was thinking of the last time that we addressed this was some of these businesses that I think most of us on the panel didn't even know were there until this was brought to the attention. Now you can drive by and it's like, wow, that's there. My thing was I was wondering, can code enforcement go there and say, hey, we need to see your licenses. If we don't, lock those doors up, that kind of thing. Has Camtech given them any advantages as far as our code enforcement goes?
They were grandfathered in, though.
Yes, so the
Existing businesses were locked in place.
But they would still have to have a license of some type, right?
They do have a business.
the business license. So they were in business before we got the ordinance, and city council specifically requested that they be exempt from the Camtech certification. So all those businesses that were in business, as far as we know, are still in business. They haven't been affected by this new ordinance one bit. Now, as far as Camtech giving them any advice, no, Camtech doesn't. I don't believe that they come out and give advice. But because they're exempt, it would be irrelevant.
Now, the business isn't, if a new employee, if a new massage professional took a job at one of those existing, they would have to be Camtech certified, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that, let's say business A was exempt a year ago. Has anybody checked the employee list this month versus the employee list? Are they bringing more people in that we don't know of? That's the question, because we were gonna use this as a hammer, as a law enforcement tool to get rid of, the undesirable element.
I would agree that we were going to use this as a tool. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a hammer.
Not a hammer, yeah.
Remember, this is a long-term project. This isn't something that we're gonna solve in a year. This is something that's gonna take some time. It's just like the seatbelt laws when we started instituting seatbelt laws. We still had vehicles on the road that didn't have seatbelts. Now that the law's been in effect for a while, the majority of the vehicles on the road have seatbelts. That's how I'm looking at
But
this. But to answer your question specifically, we haven't gone out and checked any of the registrations yet, no.
Okay, because the exemptions went with the people, right? Not with the business, it went with the massage professionals.
So the exemptions went with the businesses. It didn't affect them, except that if they hired new people, yes.
Right.
Along with that, if somebody worked at one of the massage businesses and they established their name on our list, then when they went to another company, yes, they could. We have not verified any of that yet.
Okay, so I'm saying if this questionable business had 5 people grandfathered in a year ago, and we go this year and check the employee record, and there's 5 different names on there, and none of them are Camtech certified, it gives us reason to shut that business down, does it not?
Wouldn't necessarily say shut the business down. I
Or-
think what happens is it goes into a
enforce-
citation. It
yeah,
goes into an
enforce the code.
enforcement where they actually get issued.
And Camtech.
But I think that's the law enforcement tool that,
Yes,
Now
it doesn't sound like it's being used, is my point.
just because we're not out there actively looking at them, it's still being used, yes.
The citation process we're just discussing, do those citations go to Camtech or do they go to the city?
So if we issued a citation for a violation of the law, it would come to the city, not Camtech.
And if there's a fine behind that citation, would that go to the city as well?
Yes. Yes, because they're not violating Camtech's rules. They're violating City of Oakdale ordinance laws.
So the Camtech is, like you say, long-term. I'm understanding it a little bit better now. I mean, you knew before I was, I think, more or less approaching it as a law enforcement perspective, but the Camtech is more or less to provide regulation for future endeavors, so that.
Exactly.
Okay. And, I wanted to bring this up to see if I don't know about the massage parlors in town. I didn't know about them before. I was very surprised to see how many of them there were. When we had the professionals that showed up that seemed as if they had a legitimate massage business and they were willing to point the finger at who they thought did not, it's easy to drive by and see those establishments, and it's very easy to get an opinion that those establishments are most likely not legitimate, especially when we had an owner of 2 of them in town that showed up and spoke at the podium and said that he was going to Shanghai to get girls. That was very surprising. So that's what I wanted to.
And also, my boyfriend called at 12:30 a.m. and they said that he could meet them down there.
But that was before
That
the
was before
Camtech,
it.
so that's what I'm
Yes.
trying to see, if any of that activity, if Camtech has suppressed or if it's helped us with any of that activity.
I can say that when we passed the law, some of the illegal activity dropped off based on what we were hearing and what we were seeing. And we're now hearing that the activity is picking back up.
Okay.
But it's gonna be helpful having this ordinance for us to kind of get some of it to go away.
Copy
Like,
that.
without this ordinance, I think it would be a lot more difficult. And again, like I said, this is for the long haul. This isn't a short fix. This is a long fix. So it's basically setting us up to rid us of a lot of this in the future. And right now, it didn't go away completely, but from what we could tell, it's certainly dipped down, and we think it's starting to come back up. And because I have this, I'll be able to do a little bit more.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief? Any questions? Yep, come on up. Yep. Good evening.
Cheryl Moore. My question is, why haven't you gone and gotten the names of the existing businesses that were grandfathered in? Is there just no time? Basically?
Priorities.
Priorities.
You mean if they have new employees, is that
No,
what you're
well, if
talking about?
you need a list of who's working there for the last year in order to tell if new people have come. So I would think you would have to get the list done, and then you can do checks when
So-
you think there's a problem and go, nope, 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 you're fine, and just make their lives hard.
So do each one of the massage therapists have to go to the city to get a license, or is it just one per business, or supposed to, I guess I should say?
I think the regulation that we sign up for, they have to have a list of the employees.
So city council specifically asked for, requested that if somebody wanted to wanted to be able to move from one business to the other, they had to establish their name on our list. We have that established list. So there are several people that if for some reason one of those establishments goes out of business, they can go over to another business and they don't have to be Camtech certified. Okay? And that's because there were some people that have, in our city, that have been in business for 20 years. It's not right for them to have to get certified, was the opinion. So they can do that. Now, as far as verifying all the lists, there's competing priorities. Like I said, this is a long-term list, but along with all of our other daily activities, I mean, we get calls for collisions, we get calls for fights, that sort of stuff. Those are the calls that we are going to respond to on a priority. When we think that something gets to the point that it needs to be addressed, we will address it. So this law gives us that ability. So if I had an infinite number of officers and an infinite budget, then yeah, we could send everybody out and we could get all these lists and established all this, but that's not how this works. We have to prioritize what we're gonna do. This was a priority for the long term, as we still do our other police services.
As much as I appreciate that, I would think that human trafficking or prostitution would rank high on something that we'd like to address.
And it does.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely ranks high. So this is one of the balancing acts that we made in not just unilaterally issuing the Camtech, because Camtech makes it really easy for us to monitor those systems, whereas this takes a little more effort. I think it's the time where we need to put more effort into it. But to this point, it's not something we get a lot of calls about either. And so in a priority-based environment where there's a lot of competing interests, when the phones are ringing nonstop, those are the ones that we typically handle.
And the individual that's taking advantage of a human slave is not gonna make a call. It's gonna be the person
See,
that
I
finds
can't
that out.
agree with what you're saying, Brian, because I feel like the people who are going and utilizing these services are not going to be calling and complaining to the city. And if
Understood.
us as a city council did not even know that it was happening, I doubt that any of the parents that were in the room even are aware. And I'm a little disappointed because we did pass this ordinance to make it easier for our police officers to go in and get the names, and that should have been done a year ago. So there's really no excuse, because that should have been done a year ago, because it's human sex slave trafficking. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
It's a fine line for me, because I would ask how the church in Oakdale can help address this issue. But to your point, they're not calling him, they're calling me. Because I have marriages I'm counseling at a large number right now because of this issue. I can't divulge those names and I can't betray their trust, but I can tell you there's 4 locations in our city that are destroying marriages in this town on a constant basis, weekly. And so I'm telling you, it's happening, and it's happening often, where men are able to go whenever they choose, and their wives are paying the price for it. They're coming to me asking me to repair the damage. So they're not gonna call police, they're gonna call someone who they actually think can help their marriage.
Have you discussed this with our police department?
I have made a report, and I have counseled one other to come forward, but as to your point, this issue is a pretty secretive matter for most families, so.
Yeah,
And it's also in this public setting, very difficult for the chief to talk about, as he mentioned, because other folks are listening. And so even just having this conversation could quiet things, which makes it very hard for us to then find out.
Understood, thank you.
And that's why I just simply say, if there are questions that he would have for me that I can answer without breaking some privilege, then I would be willing to help point them in areas where I feel like there is no question of what is coming to me as to where that's taking place.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Thanks,
My concern with it is that, exactly what you just said, there's a lot of stuff that people are unaware of. And I understand that Camtex is an ordinance efficiency program. You know, we've had our issues and we talked about them in the past. But I don't think that they have the teeth that might be needed in order to fight this. I think a reach out for additional resources, maybe some grants, they're out there, to get the law enforcement involved and ordinance officials involved, where, you know, we can actually shut some of these things down and then get the word out there that Oakdale's not going to accept this kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Thank you. All right, anybody else?
Thank you for the presentation.
Yes, thank you. Chief.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate all that you did to present this tonight. I know I was harsh, but I do appreciate you.
All right, Brian, any additions or deletions?
There are none.
Okay, now's the time for public comment. Anyone wishing to provide public comment, come up to the mic. You'll have 3 minutes and state your name. Seeing none, we will go to City Council consent agenda. Any council member want to pull an item to discuss? If not, this is an action item.
I motion to approve.
Just like to point out 9.4 that city offices are going to be closed, Corporation Yard and City Hall on Tuesday, December 24th and Thursday, December 26th, and I will second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gilbert,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes?
Councilmember Emerald,
Yes.
and Mayor Barrios.
Yes, this passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen. All right, item 11.1. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I don't know if I need my glasses or not. Okay. Tonight I'm here to present to you the Southwest Downtown Safe Routes to School Streets Project. Tonight, I'd like you to consider adopting a resolution to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with George Reed Incorporated for the Southwest Downtown Safe Routes to School project in the amount of $4,918,055.70 and authorizing $368,854 for construction, engineering, and inspection services. More? Sorry, I feel like I talk loud. And inspection services, as well as $368,854 for contingency, for a total project budget of $5,655,763.70, to be funded from Fund 222, Measure L, Fund 267, CDBG funds, Fund 316, which is the Surface Transportation Fund, Fund 621, Sewer Capital Replacement Fund, Fund 644, Water Capital Replacement Fund, and Fund 540, Facility Maintenance Fund. This is our project area for the Southwest Downtown Project. If you can get oriented a little bit, you can see we have Yosemite Avenue there at the top. We'll be looking at 3rd Avenue, 2nd Avenue, and 1st Avenue. And we would come all the way down H, crossing over Church Street, all the way out to J Street for this project. And if you've driven on those streets, and I'll show you some photos, but I'm sure we've all been out there, you've seen the condition of these roads, and so it's well time for us to be looking in this area and making some improvements. Based on city staff assessments, our capital improvement plan, and our pavement management program, the Southwest Downtown area is in need of significant improvement. This area has not had street improvements for more than 25 years, with much of the infrastructure in the ground much older than that. Pavement conditions are quantified using the Pavement Condition Index, the PCI, which ranges from 100, which is the best score, to 0, which is the worst. The average PCI for the Southwest Downtown Project area is a 27, which is considered a poor rating based on the pavement management plan we had updated in 2022. So they are just about at the lowest level they could possibly be before they get to be dirt. Here are our current conditions on East H Street. And we could go through hundreds of pictures of these roads, so these are just a few examples on each road that I could get while I was out there between school students. I picked a really bad time. This is West H Street, and you can see we've crack sealed within an inch of our life here. This is East I Street, across the street from the market, and here in our crosswalk. I think this one is one of the best examples. If you can see the curb up against this home, all of that area there is just gravel and dirt on South 3rd Avenue, and the majority of South 3rd looks like this. Part of our project also would include repaving the fire department driveway. So here are some photos of what it currently looks like throughout. This driveway really needs to be installed with structural concrete instead of pavement, so that it would withstand the weight of the trucks coming through in and out. This drive would come from the front where they enter all the way out the back. So our project scope will include remove and replace the existing pavement on all streets, replace the curb ramps, repair the curb, gutter, and sidewalks, place new pavement markings and street signage, remove and replace the water, sewer, and storm facilities, and like we just talked about, the fire department parking lot improvements, which would include removal of the pavement sections and replace them with structural concrete. Here is our financials. We received bids on October 17th, 2024. We went out to bid for 6 weeks. Bid amounts were submitted as shown in the table below. So as you can see, George Reed was our low bidder. We did receive lots of bids, lots of questions. It was a very active bid. I thought it was pretty competitive considering Mountain Cascade is from Sacramento, so they would have had a lot of windshield time, so that's what why their price is so vastly different. Obviously, George Reed is very local, already working with the city, so they were able to get a really good price. The engineer's estimate for this project was $4,869,351, and our apparent low bidder, being George Reed, came in with a bid of $4,918,055. So pretty close. $1.3 million of this project is grant funded. This is a budgeted item in the final approved budget for fiscal year 24-25.
Can we just take a pause right there?
Yes.
Because you just breezed right over it. $1,300,000 is not coming out of our pocket.
Right.
So that's a big, big deal.
It is. It's really, really going to be helpful to this project. And we will allocate as follows. Measure L at 1.7 million. CDBG funds, that is a grant. It's 335,000. The Surface Transportation Fund is also a grant, and that's 968,000. The Sewer Capital Replacement Fund would be in at $1 million. Water Capital Replacement at 1.5 million, and the Facility Maintenance Fund for 85,000. For a total project budget of 5.655764. Our project budget would work out with George Reed as our contractor at 4.9 million, and our contingency, engineering, and inspections each at $368,854. So our recommendation is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with George Reed for the Southwest Downtown Safe Routes to School project in the amount of $4,918,055.70 and authorizing $368,854 for construction, engineering, and inspections, $368,854 for contingency, for a total project budget of $5,655,763.70 to be funded as shown. Questions?
Any questions?
I have 3 things.
Yes, sir.
You already covered one. Thank you again for hunting down and using these grants, because they don't just show up. I know you guys have to go find them, and I've heard about hunting this grant for over a year, or these grants. So thank you from the bottom of my budget. Number 2, I moved here 20 plus years ago, and these streets needed redoing then. And I'm really happy to see that this neighborhood is getting the attention that it needs. And number 3, and this was the only question that I got about this, $5 million to pave some streets? No. We're digging them all up. We're putting new pipes in. We're putting new water, sewer. We're digging. This is a bottom to top change with gutters and et cetera.
Everything.
So,
Yes.
thank you. It's a big job. Needs to be done.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I got a comment. I just want to say thank you for the grants as well and the hard work that the staff has done for this, because you're absolutely right, it's much needed. What's the timeline looking like from start to finish, and how have we been able to inform the residents? Because that's a big area, that's a lot of housing.
It is. We haven't spoken with the residents yet. The project won't start until kind of early spring, maybe the next year. We're looking at February, but really weather is going to be very, very important in that. So if we receive your approval tonight, we will immediately begin the process of reaching out to residents and talking about what that process will be. Our current contract would have us at 247 working days, which is calendar days, so that includes weekends. But that is close to 9 months. So it will be a really long, very inconvenient process for the residents, unfortunately. We will phase it the best that we can. We're going to do everything we can to make it as easy as possible for them, but it's going to be a long one.
2 more things. Number 1 is George Reed. George Reed is doing the sports park, and they are known for their efficiency because they throw a ton of workers and material into a project. And number 2, the people of Olive Street had to put up with it for 5-6 months, and not a single person is complaining about the outcome. So once this is done, the inconvenience is far more overridden by the outcome.
Yes, I think it's still going to be a little bit painful probably through the process, but we'll do everything we can to make it as easy as possible for them. We're going to have some, really dusty times for them, and it's going to get inconvenient.
This would be so much better.
Yeah, the outcome is just going to make such a huge difference in that area that I hope that will make them feel a little bit better about the pain they'll have to go through. I think, the value in that area will just, skyrocket from just feeling better about the area that you're in, because, yeah, it's in
What's
pretty
the
bad shape.
anticipated start date again? Or did you say?
Springtime.
Oh, we're looking at February if we can.
February?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll probably be into the rain, it'll still be raining and stuff, or
Yes, so we're gonna do as much as we can, but we haven't met with George Reed yet because we were waiting for this meeting tonight. If we receive approval, we'll start meeting with them right away to start talking about what that looks like, what the phases look like, and reaching out to the community right away.
I think the residents are going to be very happy because when I went door knocking for my National Night Out event, almost every single house that I knocked at complained about the road that they lived on. And also at our event, they really feel like our city underserves that portion of our community. And when you feel better about the place that you live, you want to take better care of it, you want to give back to your community. So this is just great for all of the citizens that live in that downtown quarter.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Any questions? All right, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
presentation.
I'll motion to approve 11.1 tonight.
Second.
We have a first and a second, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilmember Amaral?
Yes.
And Mayor Barrios?
Yes, this item passes 5-0. Thank you, Colleen. I look forward to seeing this go through.
Thank you, Karina.
Yep, it's gonna be awesome. All right, city manager's report. Anything else to report out tonight?
Yeah, just a couple items. First off, thank you for the support of this project. In many ways, this southwest downtown area project will be an extremely transformative project that, as Councilmember Gilbert mentioned, we believe that after we see this completed, that there will be now an inherent interest in the property owners to do a little better, with property maintenance and maybe investing in their property. So it will stimulate kind of the economic development and just the rehabilitation of the area in general. So we're excited about that. The other thing I just wanted to add related to the conversation about the massage ordinance is what we will do related to what was discussed is the chief will share out later our plan for what we talked about. This is not necessarily something that is basically, hey, here's our playbook, and that's not something we're going to mention here for people to share. So that will be forthcoming.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from council?
Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Garden Club meeting at the Methodist Church, 1480 Poplar, if I got that right. Scary here, Mike Moore, he's a member. I'll be there. And it's open to everybody. And go learn.
This Wednesday at the high school during lunch, which starts at 11:27 a.m., the Sports Boosters is hosting an event. The seniors who are signing to colleges will be signing that day, and I think they would love the city council to be there. You can just park in the parking lot during lunch, and you can walk in because they open the gates at that point.
You say Wednesday? As in
Yeah,
couple days from
Wednesday at 11:27 a.m.
immediately after Steve's Chevrolet.
Yes.
50. You want to mention that? Or no?
Is there a significance with the time 11:27, or is that just the school?
That's the
bell
time
schedule?
that their lunch starts. That's
Oh.
why. So they usually start right when lunch
Is it
because they only get 45 minutes.
So,
I know,
Interesting.
and not 11:30, 11:27, I know.
okay.
11:27 it is. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Great night. Meeting adjourned.
Whoa. Thanksgiving is at the community center. Nobody brought that up. There's open to the community. It doesn't matter if you're poor or rich or short or tall. It's open to everybody. Free meal. Come join us.
What time?
All day. I think it's 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock. It's not all day, but. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people bring their entire family. That's it.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank
Thank
you.